Did you know that every single day there are 3 ways we feed ourselves? And today's question is, what are you really feeding yourself? What's up, you guys? Corey Beth here to talk about this topic because it's been a big text message question that I've received all weekend, actually, from a couple of you guys. So let's go with first the 3 ways you feed yourself, and then let's talk about what you're really feeding yourself. So obviously, there's the most obvious. We feed ourselves through our stomach. It's the food we eat. It's the drink that we consume. What we eat and consume is literally the building structure, the building blocks for the cells that our body can create. So it's really important to stick to the list and eat things that we suggest and recommend because they're whole, natural, real foods. And that is some of the best stuff to be feeding your body. All that processed, it's processed, all right? We don't want to be putting all that in our bodies. I mean, we literally are preserving ourselves long-term. We don't want to do that. Okay, second way we feed ourselves is our mind. So what are you feeding yourself? Now, this hit home for a client who shall not be named, but she said, oh my gosh, like I'm thinking about all these things and creating all this worry. I think the one thing that we don't necessarily make the connection to is when we have things that make us worry, we release hormones that create stress, cortisol, in our bodies, and it makes it hard for us to lose weight. So I don't know that anybody's really made that connection of like worry creates weight gain, but there is some science to really back that up. So when you think about what you're feeding your mind, what are you saying to yourself? What are you listening to? What are you reading? And again, I always go back to it, and I'll go back to it a million times again. Like I literally, for the 35 and a half years that I have lived on this planet, can tell you for at least 33 of them, I have known how polluting the news is to your mind. So again, this is not a political thing or a 2020 thing. The news has always sucked. I remember being a kid growing up and hearing about house fires and car accidents and bus crashes and all this stuff. And I'm like, this is probably not good to be listening to. So what are you allowing your mind to eat or consume? What are you allowing yourself to be told? And then you're thinking about that. Because again, your mind constantly records things. Your subconscious is always at work. So even though you're not sitting there studying the news going, oh, there was a bus accident at this intersection, your mind still hears it and subconsciously stores it. And it'll come up for you later on in the form of stress when you see a bus, when your kids get on the bus, when you pass by a bus, when you're sleeping, when you're dreaming, when you have a nightmare. That stuff crops up. Don't sit here and tell me it doesn't. You know it does. So we have to really be so careful about what we are feeding our minds. The third way we feed ourselves, kind of unconventional, but it's pretty freaking cool. And science has been pointing to it for the past 20 years. We feed our guts. So that does go back to the first and the second thing we feed ourselves. We feed ourselves food and we feed ourselves information. Both of those things have an impact on what and how we're feeding our gut. So our gut is basically our intestines, our stomach, right? It's what's going in. But here's what's crazy. Based on what we feed ourselves in terms of thoughts, we already said it has a change or an impact on the hormones that actually get produced. Have you ever seen somebody that's really stressed out develop an ulcer? How the heck does that happen? Well, their gut could either be being fed a combination of foods that maybe are not great for them, maybe they're too acidic, as well as thoughts, stresses that create acidity in our gut. Yes, that's a real thing. And when we put one or two of those things together, we can end up with a physical ailment such as an ulcer. So what are you feeding your gut? What are you putting in it? Are you taking our pre and pro and phytobiotics that we suggest? Are you taking your mood every single day? I freaking am, because I don't know that I could get through a day in 2021 without having mood, or a night without having sleep, helping my gut to process and produce the right hormones that are going to help me to stay on track, eat what I need to eat, exercise when I need to exercise. Because if we go back to the second, where we're feeding our mind, we can feed our mind a whole bunch of excuses too. Can't get my workout in today. Just can't eat right today. I just need some extra sugar in my coffee. There's no sugar in this coffee, but I just need some extra sweets today, right? That is what we're constantly feeding ourselves. And each one of these things has a direct correlation and impact on the other. So what are you really feeding yourself? You could be eating all the right things, but you're feeding yourself terrible thoughts. That is not going to get you to your goal. You could be watching all the right stuff and meditating and positivity, but you're eating garbage, right? That's not going to get you to your goal. You could be eating all the right things and meditating and doing all the things you need to do daily, but maybe you're not taking care of your gut. Maybe you got some undue stress, unforgiveness. Okay. All of those things have an impact on our health and our ability to get to our goals. Stress can do crazy things. I know you've seen it. I know you've heard stories where people literally have physical representation of stress in their life. Stress can literally make our hair fall out. It can make us lose or gain weight. It can make us sleep or not sleep. It can do a whole plethora of things to our health and our bodies. So what are you really feeding yourself? Here's your activity for today, and then we're going to close this out. Write down a meal list. What is a journal of what you eat in one day? Write it down. Be honest. You're like, oh, Hershey Kiss, M&Ms, right? I sneak on this. I sneak on that. A little bit extra sugar, a little bit extra stevia, whatever it is. Write it down. Anything that passes your lips, I want written, and that way you know exactly what you're consuming. Second, I want you to write down a thought journal. What are you thinking? What are you thinking on a daily basis? Do you like a thought dump from when you wake up in the morning to when you go to bed at night? What exactly does that look like? Jot that stuff down. Oh my gosh, I'm stressed about this. I'm stressed about that. I'm stressed about that. And then when it comes to your gut, yeah, we can give you some suggestions and recommendations for the right products you should be taking for you. We start everybody off on the purples, which is our foundational fundamentals. It's the foundation of gut health. It really helps to prime and reset your gut microbiome. And then we'll talk about the blues. Those are our specific therapeutics that help with mood, energy, sleep, inflammation, things of that nature. And then, of course, for those of you, we got a couple of people obsessed with our pinks, which is our Edge. We got a disappearing water bottle there. This is an amazing drink that actually helps with your mood, metabolism, motivation, helps you feel good all day long. So what are we putting in our gut and feeding ourselves to make us feel our absolute best? All right, guys, I would love to hear what that is. Food journal, mind thought journal. Let's jot that stuff down and let's actually assess the data. Don't be dramatic about it. I always say bring the data, not the drama. Don't be like, I can't believe I worry so much. Okay, cool. Let's just be aware of it and let's work from there. That's really what it's about, right? We're not supposed to feel shame or anxiety about our situation. Let's just see it for what it is. Let's not make it better than what it is. No more lying to ourselves. Let's not make it worse than what it is. Enough with the shame and the self-loathing, right? Let's just see it for what it is. And that way we can decide where we want to go. But what are you really feeding yourself on a daily basis? I can't wait to hear. Have an awesome day, you guys.